Welcome to a special edition of... Welcome to the first edition of Grimm's Tales. That's right. We're actually going to take a look at a couple of scary, vampire-y, Halloween-y kind of movies, at least for the month of October. And this time, I dragged Spade over here to go see in theaters. We were scrolling through to see what we could actually see. I stopped dead. I said, Spade, we got one to check out. Absolutely. And we are bringing to you The Lost Boys. Thou Shalt Not Fall. And I gotta say that this is Spade asked me, like, what's your relation to The Lost Boys? And this entire time I've been quiet about it, and finally now I can say The Lost Boys is a movie that I most think of when I think back to like my young childhood. Like this is a movie that, like, growing up, my parents always said, "Oh, you loved that movie growing up. My God, I couldn't get you away from it." Which may or may not say one or two things about me now. But yeah, no, don't you?
I'm not saying anything yet.
You're
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So yeah, no, honestly, and to see it in the theaters for officially the first time. This movie came back in '87, so to see it in theaters, like how people would have, it was great. It was honestly great. The sound effects were great. The practical effects and the makeup was shockingly top notch. And overall, for a vampire movie, I thought the acting was pretty good too. What do you think, bud?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 1987.
Yes, it did.
And it was a movie that was directed by Joel Schumacher, who most of you know is the guy who gave us Bat Nipples.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So, look, in this movie, there were nipples. They were just not rubber. Anyway, the point is...
Yeah.
This movie reminds me of a John Hughes movie. It's very... How should I say this? At first, you don't know if it's a horror movie, if it's a thriller or anything. It looks more like a teen angst type movie. It looks like a movie that is all about teenagers falling in love and whatnot, right?
But literally, teenagers move to a new town,
right?
Falls for a girl, literally the first night.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, in essence, this movie is literally just that. It's a movie about teens falling in love in new neighborhoods, new types of life that they're going to start, and it just so happens to have vampires in it.
I was about to say, except for this one, to get the girl, you gotta get fangs.
Right. Hey, you know what's cool about this movie?
What?
It's
other than Kiefer Sutherland being in it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's pretty cool too. But you know, Alex Winters is in it.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, he is, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah. The Coreys are both in it.
Yeah, I'm happy at least one of them is in it.
No, they're both. What?
No. Yes, one of the Coreys.
They're both.
Because I don't care about the other Corey.
Which one do we not care about?
Hey.
Why? He's the main character's brother.
Yeah, so?
Anyway, so... like him. Sure, fine, okay. Yeah, okay. He was basically the 1980s version of Jonathan Taylor Thomas from the 90s. That's basically what happened.
That's kind of true.
It is.
That's very true, actually, yeah.
So, yeah. So, look, the movie was great. It's very simple. It literally was what made vampires cool. Like, before this movie, every single time you thought of a vampire, that vampire was like, you know, like Nosferatu or something.
It was Dracula. It was Nosferatu.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was nothing like... Hey, we've heard the tale 1,000 times about, like, you know, the vampires and everything. But with this movie, it actually introduced new lore, I guess you could say, that I feel like isn't really used all that much. Like, for example... Something I really actually appreciated, that, like, when you invite a vampire into your home, all their weaknesses are null and void. They're not affected by anything.
Right.
But, you know, they could still walk into someone's house and still be affected by, like, you know, their weaknesses, which you really need that invitation.
Right.
And I thought that was actually really cool. I enjoyed that.
See, here's the thing. if you look at the way Lost Boys is,
Mhm.
and then you fast forward 20 years later,
Mhm.
maybe 10, 15 years
Sure.
later, you get Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? So in
Yeah.
essence, Josh Whedon, right? It was Josh Whedon?
Joss Whedon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh Whedon took the ideas from Lost Boys and turned them up a notch.
Yeah.
Like, if you really think about it,
Mhm.
Spike is a direct copy of David. Blonde hair, leather jacket, everything. He's literally David.
I'll give you the looks, but like the entire
Attitude,
personality,
yeah, personality, not so much.
Yeah.
But
Spike is his own
visually,
thing.
yeah,
Visually, absolutely. Yeah.
visually,
Mhm.
it's a straight up copy. So
And Angel is Michael. Oh my
there
god.
you go. So
Yo!
that's it.
We did it. We cracked the code.
That's it. We cracked the code.
That's it.
We see what you did there, Whedon.
I still love you.
And not so much. Most people don't
So-
like you anymore because you're abusive. Anyway, so yeah. Look,
Yeah.
like I was saying, like the Lost Boys was what made vampires cool.
Mhm.
Similar to how Twilight ruined vampires for most people.
Okay.
Lost
good.
Boys did the opposite. It made people want to
I'm
see
so
and
happy.
obsess with vampires, as opposed to Twilight that ruined it for everyone
Oh
else.
my god. It really did. Twilight oh my god. I don't want to do an episode about Twilight. Do we have to?
No, we're talking about Lost Boys.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I mean, what else is there?
The Frog Brothers.
The Frog
The
Brothers.
Frog Brothers were amazing with this. They really did bring like a can't believe I'm saying this. They really did bring a bit of an edge to this role, especially for a pair of kids who think they're like hardened killers that like may or may not have killed a vampire before. They just read shit out of a comic book too.
But you know what the best thing about the Frog Brothers
What?
is?
What?
The fact that Corey was changing his voice so it could
Oh.
sound a little bit more deeper instead of a 15-year-old that he was.
Yes, absolutely.
So how much should we charge them for this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, he was fine. He was
Yeah.
great.
No, they were both great. I enjoyed both of them. The Frog Brothers.
But that making the voice deeper thing that he did,
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
It was funny, but like the whole point is, to try to put on the tough guy act. Meantime,
Right.
like you just said, he's a 15-year-old kid, which works. It's fine.
It does.
It's great. Okay, so to no one's surprise whatsoever, we've seen this probably collectively like 30 to 50 times.
Sure. Why
Sure.
not?
So knowing this going into it, you can kind of see how the head vampire was like literally watching out like everything the entire time, because there's some points where you're like, oh, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Oh, this guy just seems like kind of strange. Nay, no, because the entire time when you're thinking stuff like that, he's actually watching out for his children. He's watching out for the prospect of his new mate. He is essentially being like a father figure. But what I'm trying to say though is that like all these things of you're just like, oh, he's just a regular human. But the entire time he's just watching out for his boys, which I think was a very nice touch in this.
Yeah, there was. And that's why he needed Lucy to be the mother, because he was the father.
Aw, he wanted a mom for his kids.
Well, look, the movie is called The Lost Boys, right?
Yeah.
And Peter Pan had the...
Yeah, let's talk
Lost
about
Boys.
that for a second.
So what's that guy's name? The head honcho, the big bad of the
oh my
movie?
god, I want to say David, and I know it's not.
No, David is.
Oh my
David
god,
is.
yeah, that's Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah.
Anyway, so this guy, he's basically Peter,
he is.
and the main protagonist, Michael, and his brother Sam, their mother is basically what's her name? Wendy.
Yeah.
But in the movie, she's called Lucy.
Yeah.
So she's like, he wants her to be his Wendy, so that way his Lost Boys have a mother, even though as if their mother would as if they would actually listen to somebody who's acting as their mother.
Well, listen. Firstly, you actually mentioned it to me before we saw the movie. Like, yes, the name is in there, but I had no idea that like this entire movie of what we got was a rewrite. I had no idea.
Oh yeah.
That like the original script for this was supposed to be essentially Peter Pan and his vampire lost boys. That was the premise of the movie, but thank God we actually got a rewrite, and
Yeah.
we got a childhood classic out of it.
So basically, what happened was the original story for this movie was supposed to be kids. So instead of it being adults or teenager, late teens, you got kids that were 8 to 10 years old running around biting people and shit.
Yeah.
So
Which would be kind of terrible.
Joel Schumacher was like, "No, man, we can't make this sexy because that's what he used to do back then. Anything he got his fingers on, he had to one up it and make it sexy somehow."
Can we also talk about, we saw in the movie our epic saxophone guy.
Yeah, who I think works for Tina Turner. I think
maybe right, but at the same time, looking at that, I'm like, no, Joel Schumacher directed this? Florals in Spring? Come on. It was great, don't get me wrong, but it was very much just like a telltale card. Especially if you're coming back from the Batman and Robin movie.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No. Soundtrack?
So, oh my. So, again, something that made this movie iconic for me was Cry Little Sister. One of the songs of my childhood. Can literally listen to that as it rocks me to sleep at night. Genuinely.
Listen, I liked it from beginning to end. I don't think it needed to change anything.
No.
I think it was a perfect soundtrack. It's literally music from the 80s.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised because you usually get...
I was about to say, the 80s? You mean the time before the 90s, right?
Yes,
right?
The time before the 90s where he usually gets pissed off and has arguments about whether he likes the 80s or not.
That's the thing. Everyone has a thing of just like, yes, I can hate everything about like one particular thing, but there's always going to be something that just brings you back. And for me, it's The Lost Boys. I genuinely love this movie. Like,
so what he's saying is that he only likes the 80s when it has to deal with The Lost Boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's no code to be cracked here. Yes, the answer's obvious.
I'm good with it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's the code. Got it.
So, essentially, Spade, is there anything else that you want to say about this? Or?
All I'm going to say is this movie is a certified classic.
Absolutely.
Again, I can't stress how much this movie means to the modern vampire. Without this movie, you wouldn't have these.
So, not even that. I'm gonna argue, like, yes, I'm for that, but I'm also gonna say, like, this is for like the elder emos, the elder goths nowadays who have like grown up with this, especially with When You're a Stranger. I want to point this out during the movie. They're showing When You're a Stranger. Notice they're only showing one type of people, all the emos, all the goths from like the late 80s,
right,
early 90s.
But that's when it started, though.
That's true,
why, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, though. This movie, I do want to say, also helped them along, too. So for all you elder emos out there, I see you. I'm with you. I got you.
So does Schumacher. He saw you, too.
Yeah. But in a good way this time. We don't talk about Batman and Robin. Anyway. Safe to say, at this point, that's how we feel about The Lost Boys. Let us know down in the comments. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Put everything down in the doobly-doo and let us know. Did you also grow up with Kiefer Sutherland as a vampire? Did you want to be bit by him? Did you want to not be bit by him? What's wrong with you? Until then, roll credits. We're out.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.